Superman Ride of Steel and Ride of Steel are a pair of Intamin hypercoasters located at Six Flags America in Maryland and Six Flags Darien Lake in western New York. These two coasters are mirrored clones of each other and were two of Intamin Amusement Rides' first hyper or mega coasters. Darien Lake's Ride of Steel opened in May 1999 and stands 208 feet tall, has 5,400 feet of track, and reaches a top speed of 73 miles per hour. Six Flags America's Ride of Steel opened 1 year later and is a little shorter than Darien Lake's, with a height of 197 feet and a length of 5,350 feet, though it has the same top speed as Darien Lake's at 73 miles per hour. Both Rides of Steel offer great first drops while sitting in the very back row, good floater airtime over their two larger camelback airtime hills, some strong positive G-forces on the first helix, and a great ejector airtime-filled finale. These two coasters are the headlining attractions and must rides at their respective parks, though Six Flags America's Ride of Steel will be closing in November 2025. This is our full-length, in-depth review of the Ride of Steel clones and our comments about what you can expect when you go to Darien Lake or Six Flags America to ride these coasters. Now, let's get into the review. Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags America and Ride of Steel at Six Flags Darien Lake opened 1 year apart from each other. In 1999, Darien Lake's Ride of Steel originally opened with Superman theming, but after park management, a Florida-based amusement park operator, acquired Darien Lake in 2007, the ride lost its Superman theming. And Darien Lake's Ride of Steel would not get back its Superman theming when the park was reintegrated into the Six Flags company. In the year 2000, Six Flags America's Ride of Steel opened with its Superman theming, which it still has today. While Darien Lake's Ride of Steel no longer has its Superman theming, you can still see the similarities to Six Flags America's. More on that in a moment. Both coasters are located towards the very back of their respective parks. To get to both coasters from the park's front entrances, you have to walk the entire length of the parks just to get to the ride. Though the walk at Darien Lake is much shorter given the park's smaller size. At Six Flags America, you have to walk underneath Wild One and past and around Joker's Jinx just to get to the ride's entrance plaza. At Darien Lake, you walk past the park's water park, Hurricane Harbor, underneath part of Predator, the park's Din Corporation wooden coaster, and along a park pathway to get to Ride of Steel's entrance plaza. As you approach Six Flags America's Ride of Steel, you see a large Superman S-shield on the ground, a gift shop towards the left, and Superman's large lift hill towering over the plaza. You will also see the ride's large ride sign displaying the ride's name and logo. As you approach Darien Lake's Ride of Steel, you will see the entrance to the ride's queue, which displays the ride's stylized name logo, a gift shop, and the ride's towering lift hill all towards the left. And unlike Six Flags America's Ride of Steel, Darien Lakes does not have its own standalone plaza, though the walk up to the ride's queue still looks good. As you make your way through the queue, you will walk underneath parts of the ride's track and around to the ride platform. You will not see much theming on either coaster as you make your way to the ride platforms. Once you reach the ride platforms, however, you will see a clear difference between the two rides. Since Six Flags America's Ride of Steel has its Superman theming, you will hear an epic Superman soundtrack. You will also see some Superman theming on the air gates and one of the ride's two 16-row, 32-passenger trains. The trains also have a Superman S-shield on the lead cars. At Darien Lake, the ride platform is just a generic-looking station building, though you can see where the Superman theming was beforehand if you had visited Six Flags America for its Ride of Steel. Both coasters also have Intamin's older style trains, which have T-bar restraints and a seatbelt. Once you have boarded your train, fastened your seatbelt, secured your T-bar restraint, and cleared dispatch, you proceed forward immediately into an unbanked turn and along a short section of straight track towards the lift hill to begin your ride. As you crest the top of the lift hill, you start plummeting down Ride of Steel's 205-foot tall first drop sloped at 68 degrees. This first drop is not nearly as good while sitting towards the front of the train, though it gives great floater airtime for those sitting towards the back of the train. At the bottom of the first drop, you immediately bank into a low-to-the-ground turn, which pulls some good positive G-forces. This bank turn is towards the right on Superman and towards the left on Ride of Steel. As you come out of that turn, you go over a fairly long section of straight track before flying up and over Ride of Steel's first camelback airtime hill. This airtime hill gives good floater airtime during the climb up the hill for those sitting towards the front of the train, and weak floater airtime coming off of the hill for those sitting towards the back of the train. As you come off that airtime hill, you glide over another section of straight track before turning into Ride of Steel's first 540-degree banked helix. This is a downwards helix, which pulls some good positive G-forces across the train. You come out of that first helix and glide along another section of straight track before flying over Ride of Steel's second Camelback airtime hill. This airtime hill gives slightly stronger airtime than the airtime on the first hill. As you come off of that airtime hill, you glide over another section of straight track before entering a second banked helix. But this helix is a 500-degree upward helix, which pulls some good positive G-forces, though just not as strong as the ones on the first helix. As you come out of that helix on Six Flags America's Ride of Steel, you enter a banked right-hand turn and fly up into an ejector airtime hill, which gives a pop of ejector airtime. As you come off of that airtime hill, you bank towards the left and fly over 2 more ejector airtime-filled airtime hills before gliding into the final brake run to complete your ride. Since Darien Lake's Ride of Steel is mirrored, this final section is just in the other direction. The rides of steel at Six Flags America and Darien Lake are great rides. They have speed, airtime, positive G-forces, and long layouts. For Intamin's first hyper mega coasters, these 2 coasters have some great moments. The best moments have to be the first drop while sitting in the very back row, the first helix, and the airtime-filled finale after this second helix. What holds these coasters back, though, are the many sections of straight track and the fact that the first Camelback airtime hills do not give as much airtime as they probably should. While the sections of straight track help showcase the ride's speed while sitting in the front row, they are definitely more filler than anything else. That said, these sections of straight track are much better on Darien Lake's Ride of Steel since they go directly over the water, which is quite a cool moment. As for the 2 larger Camelback airtime hills, both offer great moments of airtime, though those moments are not as sustained. The airtime is also not as strong on cooler or even rainy days. The Camelback airtime hills are much better on a hot, sunny day than on a cool, rainy day. That said, the first helix on both coasters is still good. It is forceful enough that you may slightly gray out towards the end of it. Aside from the coaster's ride experience, there are a couple of additional things worth mentioning. The first of which is the Rides of Steel's operations. If you have been to either Six Flags America or Darien Lake, you have probably encountered slower dispatches and/or one-train operations at some point. While both parks have a second train for these coasters, you will more likely than not visit the parks on days where they are only running one train. On slower days where capacity isn't really an issue, these one-train ops are not a big deal. On higher attendance days, though, these one-train operations can definitely be a little annoying. In 2016, the first year we rode Six Flags America's Ride of Steel, the operations were much worse. That is because in 2016, Six Flags added a virtual reality ride experience to the ride, which made operations much slower. While the VR experience was a cool concept, it actually took away from the overall ride experience, especially if you had a headset that did not work or was not synced properly with the ride's layout. Safe to say, capacity improved when the VR was eventually removed. Aside from the ride's operations, which are fairly similar, the one thing that sets Darien Lake's Ride of Steel apart from Six Flags America's is its setting over the lake. While the layouts are just mirrored versions, the setting enhances Darien Lake's Ride of Steel ever so slightly. It makes flying over those sections of straight track much more scenic. Six Flags America's Ride of Steel is essentially a roller coaster plopped down in a field. Nonetheless, the Superman theming on Six Flags America's Ride of Steel makes up for its lackluster setting. That soundtrack on the ride platform is great, and the entrance plaza makes a surprisingly good first impression. One final note, with Six Flags America's pending closure, it will be sad to see one of these 2 coasters go. Since Six Flags America's Ride of Steel is a 25-year-old Intamin mega coaster, it is extremely unlikely that it gets relocated to another park in the chain. Unless another park operator purchases the park, it is only a matter of time before it closes for good. Six Flags America's Ride of Steel is a great ride and definitely worth riding if you have not done either Ride of Steel yet. Intamin's first mega coasters are great rides. While not nearly as dynamic as later mega coasters like Goliath at Walibi Holland or Conda at Walibi Belgium, the Rides of Steel have some nice airtime moments, especially on the first drop, and strong positive G-forces. These coasters are definitely the best coasters at their respective parks. For final score, we give the Rides of Steel an 8 out of 10. While their layouts have some filler moments, these coasters still manage to give a great and thrilling ride experience. So, let us know in the comments below if you have ridden either Ride of Steel at Six Flags America and Six Flags Darien Lake. And if so, what you think about the ride. And if you enjoyed this video or are new to the channel, please like and subscribe for more coaster content like this. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more coaster reviews and amusement park content coming soon to Coaster Adventures, and we hope to see you in the next one.